Hello, and thanks for watching this video. Now, before I get started in the actual recommendations and analyzing this site, I want to give two guiding principles that I think are really important. I get a lot of people that want me to review their sites, especially people who are starting a Shopify store and it's, hey, I just started a Shopify store, but I think I have a great site, but I'm not getting a lot of sales. So the first thing is a good design doesn't equal good conversion. As you see here, this is a great looking site, and you could probably put money into it. It'll probably make some sales eventually down the road. However, there are things that you need to that need to be changed, and we're going to go over the specifics of exactly how to get those conversions. The next one is tracking. A lot of people that I talk to don't have Google Analytics installed or other means. It's really important that you start tracking. You're never going to know if you just use the basic Shopify features. You're never going to know exactly how users are getting to your page and what they're doing. I recommend always installing Google Analytics and then some type of heat map jar so you can connect it to Google Optimize and run some A/B tests. And that's the second big point that I want to talk about is testing. Um, the recommendations I'm going to give are what you could consider best practices. Now, I've looked at enough sites to say that I'm pretty sure that these will happen on most new websites and these changes will increase your sales. However, you should always do a test and make sure. Sometimes breaking the rules will actually generate some more money. You should always test and optimize. So please don't take any of this for granted. These are going to be great recommendations, but you should always test them. So without further ado, let's start with this site's homepage. Now, I want to talk about the 10 common mistakes that people make when they're starting a Shopify store. So the first one is this hero. This is the first thing that people are going to see on your website. Now, you can see this has a slider on it. Most people aren't going to spend there long enough that they're going to slide through all of these different things. It's also going to cause a lot of um, site speed and load problems. So it's best to have a static image. Now sliders can be good. I don't want to say that they're all horrible. However, for most sites, it's best just to stick to a static image where you can control your messaging and you can test it down the road. This will create a lot better experience for the user, and then they don't go click somewhere and then the button changes. Now, the thing that I do like about this site is this little value bar here. Most people don't have this value bar. This is a great way to add some of your value propositions. This is a great one. Free shipping is back, but not for long. That but not for long, even though it's smaller, it creates a sense of urgency, which is good. You want to build some urgency so people want to buy now. Most people aren't going to come back to your site. You need to get them in that moment. Um, so all of these images and value props should eventually probably put either in this image a little bit or right below the image, maybe have a little bar with 3 value points of why they should buy now or what they should buy below this. So that's the first thing. And then with this hero, these images are actually really great. Depending on the product, you need to choose between a lifestyle image or focusing and highlighting the product. Now this is a camping website, as we can see. So these are great images because it shows it's going to sell a lot of different camping gear, um, which I think is really great. Now, if you can focus on a featured product, that's always great as well. The thing I don't like though is it says welcome to the campinggadget.com. That's probably better for an email that you send to a customer after they've ordered from you. There's no real value for them. Like it's great, but people are already on their show. They're looking to solve a problem. Like leave the worries behind and enjoy. Shop now. That just leaving that would probably be better. I would still add more stuff. Something that can resonate to the image. For example, people are here are looking for a good camping experience. Focus on your camping a trip and not low quality gear, or don't let low quality camping gear lead you to have a bad trip. Now you kind of want to, we'll talk more about negative and positive messaging a little on in the video, but you definitely want to make sure that that image either ties to your brand or it ties to the image or it builds some type of value answering what people are looking for. And you'll want to look at your analytics and see, hey, why are people coming to your homepage first of all? That's going to be a big help. Now let's start with the branding. Another thing that I see a lot of people come up with is branding. Now, this logo actually is really good. The one thing is it says camping gadget. I would expect from this site to have like a specific gadget that it was selling that's going to be like an all-in-one tool, like a Swiss Army knife. That's just my first impression. So first impressions are really important. Overall, the logo looks great. The messaging is fairly clear. I don't think this logo is. I think the name has some issues, so you should always look there. But now you've already started the store, so I would say at this point, this person could still run with it if it's not too far down the road. Um, you could change the name, but overall the logo looks great. I like how it looks good. This can be easily changed for a dark background, light background. You can do a lot of good branding things, and you want to start building that brand. That's going to be very important. People are going to want to associate and buy with a brand, not just they are looking for a cheap product. But if you can have a good product at the right price and have that brand messaging, that means you're going to get repeat buyers. And that's the second big thing, is just that logo and branding. Now, the third thing I want to focus on is the nav bar. A lot of people have very generic navigation bars. This track your order probably doesn't need to be up here. You have to remember, this is space. Every second a person is on your website, they're wasting energy, and it either needs to be pushing them towards the goal. So at this point, this probably isn't going to push someone to sell. I'd probably just leave this in the footer. Contact us is always good. Most people are seeing this. Shop now. Hey, that's great, and it comes down. But I would even put like maybe a few of your top gear or a specific product that you're trying to sell. The shop now is good because it has a verb. I would even recommend putting a shop now and then have like some color to it so that shop now stands out. But like a view collections, or hey, view camping gear, or a guide. Eventually you may want to put like a blog. That's it depends on, for most e-commerce, you want to eventually get a blog so you can start doing a really good SEO campaign. Maybe you don't want it front and center. Home is good to have there. Sometimes just leaving it as an icon. I've seen both cases, but having home here is good. But I would break this down, and I would break it into categories, because there's tons of different camping gear, and I may be looking for something specific. I may not know what to look for, and I probably came to this site looking for a specific piece of equipment, and that makes it really hard. Because most people, if they're really lazy and they know how to use a website, which is really basic, they're just going to go to the nav bar and click where they're looking for, if the search result or ad doesn't take them to the page that they're hoping to get to. So that's the third part, is just really focus on that navigation bar. You can do a lot of tests and make sure you have the right items up there. So the next thing is the value propositions. Now, you can add value propositions in your messaging. This is really good, just more of an emotional pill. You want to add some backup, sometimes adding them as bullet points below, and then having your CTA. But I really there needs to be a clear standout. Like, what are the 3 reasons? Why should I buy from you instead of going to another online e-commerce store? These were really great, hassle-free returns. People don't want to know. But talking about the product, or especially if you're selling like a specific product, you want to start focusing on a certain piece of camping gear, focusing on why that product is better than any of the other products, and then why they should shop with you is a big reason. So I would make it clear and add some value propositions about that. Now, let's go into the CTAs. The next thing is Shop Now. Shop Now is really good. I would say you could even choose like view collections. You always want to start with a verb. Now is good. Shop Now is just very generic. Something, if you can say start your adventure, or get the gear for your equipment. Something that resonates a little bit more can lead to increased conversion. Something like this may be a very generic view our gear, view camping gear, something specific. Again, this is very like, where is this shop now? It's probably going to take me to a generic product page. Something that might be a little bit more specific, so I know. And then as you scroll down the page, you'll just want to have different, like instead of view all, you could have something. Now, this works good because it's under, the new arrivals. If I want to look at all the new arrivals, that would be fine. But test the messaging here. Shop now is probably okay here. I still don't think it's the best, but definitely test and play with the language on this. And I would again even have a call to action bright. The biggest thing too here is, although it looks great with this gray and this gray, it doesn't pop out. Now you don't want some like obnoxious color like a bright pink that just throws everything off, or I would avoid reds. Reds usually are a sense of warning unless it meets your branding, which at this point it doesn't. But have something like a soft yellow. The closer you can actually get the site to look to Amazon, the better. Um, but that would be the big thing about the contrast in your CTAs. Now, let's go about to this section right here, about store. People don't really care about your store. Now, it is important to show, like at this point, I would still have your value points here, and I would probably even list a few products, like your top products, before talking about yourself, because people are coming here with a problem that they want to solve. They could care less who you are. Now, it might cinch the deal or it may make them more comfortable about buying on your site, but this about store is very generic. I would say something like, the camping gadget is here for you when you need to be prepared, or something along those lines, and then have it be salesy. This is very generic. The campinggadget.com is the world's leading expert. Everyone's going to put they're the world's leading expert. This is very fluffy. Why do I care that you're the world's leading expert? Your customer cares about how you're going to solve the problem or your mission. Talking about why you're in the business. Hey, we're in the business of creating low quality camping gear so people can create memories that last. Something like that is going to go a lot better. Um, it is important to talk a little bit about yourself, but you should be focusing on the customer. And I would definitely have this lower the page. You have to remember, yes, a lot of people are going to get here. Most people don't scroll down. Most people are going to bounce. Depending on how they get there and your traffic scores and your advertising and how well this page is. Most people aren't going to get to half the page, and then when you get to the bottom, it's almost non-existent. Maybe 20% of people that actually land there are actually going to get to the bottom. Now, creating things with like arrows or adding a process can help with that. You can add like part of your value propositions could be, hey, here's the 3 reasons why, or here's the 3 reasons we help you, and hey, getting prepared for your next camping event, or getting the right camping gear as easy as 1, 2, 3, and leading them down. That would probably be a lot better than this about the store and then put it down there. But just make sure your about the store isn't just text because you feel like you have to have it. Most people feel like they have to have their about store, which is still good, but use it to sell. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've seen when it comes to that. So now let's get on to the next big thing is the product organization. So these images are actually really great, and I think they show the product because it is camping, but it doesn't really tell me what I look for, like best sellers, trending, deal of the week. I'm probably looking for something specific. I would dare to bet putting like, hey, backpacking gear, overnight camping, RV, something. I think I saw telescopes on here. If it gave me some context, I think that would be a lot better. Now you can still have your best sellers, like kind of like this new arrival section right here. Um, I think this is good. I wouldn't add 2 rows to this. I would probably just have one because then it's a really long scroll, and especially on mobile, they're gonna get lost because there's not a lot of organization. I'm seeing a lot of different products, and it kind of gives a little bit of anxiety because I don't know what I'm looking at. Having some type of organization would help. Now, if I just knew, hey, top 4 products, and then it says view top products, then I know what I'm getting to. But there definitely needs to be that focus. People are looking, if they don't know where to start, they need to know where to go, or they already know what they're going for, and you need to make it clear so they can find what they're looking for. Right now, it's just buy, buy, buy. We want to sell, and that's why we have bestsellers, trending, deal of the week. We're so focused on selling when really we need to think of it from a customer level, and that's the next biggest thing that people do is they just have this um, selling focus when they need to have a customer focus. So that's what I would do here. And again, I've already kind of given you, these images are pretty good. Sometimes you want lifestyle images or just the product, but I feel overall like I like this water bottle one because it does a little bit of both. Um, but yeah, overall the image is really good. That's something that really lacks. Icons are also good. You can also change the CTA for this video, or this you could say get the camping gear you need, or something that's a little bit different. But it is good that it's not like, hey, buy, because people might feel a little put off on this. It's just more of a softer call to action, which is great. Again, your view all, like here's this like outdoor equipment. This is great. The image is really good. Maybe having this up a little bit more would have been really good. Now, we talked about doing some value propositions here, right? By the time I get to this point of the page, hopefully I've seen kind of everything that I need to. And hopefully I've found what I needed to and I'm going to a next page. If I'm still scrolling, that means the user hasn't found what they're looking for, or they haven't found the value to click where they need to. So adding some negative language is really important. Like, hey, if you don't buy this gear, you're going to be stuck with crappy gear. Depending on your product, adding something like, hey, if you don't act, this is going to happen. Sometimes people were more, you can offer, hey, free promotions and free deals, but people are going to act more if, when you say save $200 versus get $200 free, people are more likely to save $200 because it has that connotation that they're going to lose something. So adding a little bit of negative language towards the bottom of the page that just supplements your value propositions is really important here. That contrast is really good. Now, best sellers, hey, this is good. Top trends, this is a really long scroll. Again, it lacks the organization. This is a great category page. Camping gadgets, hey, here it's talking about what we do. I'd probably specify and clear up the message so it's just a little bit more focused and not as fluffy. These are all just buzzwords, and it's good to have buzzwords, but a lot of people can read through that. Again, I would change your CTA and have this CTA stand out and have it relate to the image. Now, one thing that I'm not seeing until we get to the bottom here is a lead magnet or offer, which this is good. Now, these value propositions probably should go up top, like I said. These things are pretty generic of most e-commerce sites, so you can probably make it minimal. You don't need to add all of this stuff. This is great. This is probably more of things you want to add to the product page. But where a lot of people miss is this sign up and save. If people don't buy the first time, you want to try and get them to come back to your website. Now, you can set up tracking codes and remarketing and remarket to them, but that's going to cost you money. But answer the solution they're looking for. If they weren't ready to buy, I would put a lead magnet. Now, here, it's great that you're collecting their email. I once read a stat that collecting someone's email is like getting $10 because it means that they're interested but not ready to buy, but you're going to be able to sell them in the future. So what I would do is add some value to why should I give you my email. A lot of people are really hesitant about giving the email just to anybody, like, hey, special offers, free giveaways, and once in a lifetime deals. That's pretty generic of everything. Now you could add like a special offer, or hey, get a coupon code for 50% off your first order. I would even maybe put that in like a pop-up if they try and leave the page. That could be a great test. Now I know a lot of people don't like pop-ups, but they are effective for a lot of sites. That's something you definitely want to test on an individual basis. It really depends on the industry and what you're looking for. However, when it comes to the sign up and save, I would say, hey, get the 2020 camping list, or the camping gear that everyone should have, or the checklist to make sure you're ready for your next camping trip. And then have the email, because people, then you're giving them something in exchange for their email, and now you have their email, and you can start sending them product updates, or even in that offer, it can have special offers around the products. So if they weren't at that point of ready to buy, at least you're still selling. The whole goal is to try and sell and overcome those objectives. Even in that negative language section I talked about that I would have added, that's where you want to overcome some of the objections like that people might have. And that's where a lot of people like, hey, the 30 back money guaranteed. People are always kind of scared of that. Like, what if it goes wrong, right? But having some type of pop-up, so if people leave, or an offer so you can gather their email, or some type of coupon code, you want to have it towards the bottom of the page. You don't want to be giving, hey, if someone's going to buy your product and they're going to buy it without the coupon code, let's make sure they don't use that coupon code because that's more money for you. But hey, if they need that coupon code, let's give it to them. And then the last big mistake that I see a lot of people have, now this is just a preference, but is a chat or a contact. Now a lot of people make e-commerce sites because the goal of having a Shopify store is, hey, I put it up there and I really don't have to do a lot of work and I'm gonna make a lot of money. People soon realize, as you can see through this video, there are a lot of things that can increase, and it's actually going to be a harder product. We haven't even talked about site speed, abandoned carts. We haven't talked about mobile responsive, a content strategy, even customer marketing and customer service. But if you add a simple little chat bot, because there's going to be a lot of people on your site that don't know where to start and need help, and that chat will help, or having a contact number so they can call and talk to someone. Some people just prefer that. Now, If you are going to do that, but you don't want it to be a big hassle on you, I would only put it at the bottom. I wouldn't put it at the header. If it's at the header, you're probably going to get a lot more inquiries. Now, the chatbot just kind of stays there and floats, which is nice. You can ask a question. But having that type of interaction is always good, especially if you have someone with an order problem. I've seen some people that have their support up here. You don't want your support up here unless you're getting a lot of issues. Most people will scroll down if they really have a problem and come to support, or they'll hit the contact or the chatbot. But you want that way so if there is a customer that has an issue, it's easy to get a hold of you and they feel like they're getting responded to so they don't leave a bad review, because that's going to affect your sales. Now, that is a lot, and we've just covered the homepage. Again, this is a good site, but overall, there are a lot of things, and we're just, like I said, touching the basis. I want to just go over a high level of just some of the 10 things that I said. Again, it's the slider and the hero, making sure you have a static page, making sure that your brand name and your logo is focused is the second one. The third one is just the nav bar, making sure that it's focused and it's clear for the users and that it's actually creating an impact and not distracting from the buying experience. The next point is having value propositions that add value to solve the customer's problem. The fifth point is when it comes to talking about yourself, make it salesy and try to keep talking to yourself a minimum. People don't want to necessarily hear about you. They're trying to solve a problem. Again, having that customer centered focus. The next thing I talk about is having contrasting call to actions, or call to actions that are a little bit more unique or draw people in emotionally. The next is having the product organization and making sure that your products are organized in a way that people can find what they're looking for clearly, and it's clear where that pages are going to take them, as well as just having a clear focus of what they can expect and putting top popular items towards the top, because those are going to convert more. The next thing I talked about is negative language, adding a little section of towards the bottom of, hey, if they're still here, why should they, what are they going to lose if they don't buy from you, or what happens if they go to a competitor. You want to build kind of that fear of missing out. You don't want to get too negative or dramatic, but you want something that, hey, if the value didn't work, you need to show what happens if they don't make the action. People are more, like I said, they're going to act on if they're not going to lose anything versus getting something for free. The next thing we talked about was having a lead type magnet or an offer in the form of a pop-up or a section that where you can collect their email and get to them and market to them again if your marketing doesn't resonate with them the first time. And then lastly, as option, I talked about having a chat feature or just making like a phone number as a kind of a catch-all just towards the end of the page. So if someone has questions, they couldn't find what they needed, it's really easy for them so you don't lose the sale, or if there's a problem that they can get to a hold of you before leaving a bad review. Now again, this is just the home page. We haven't talked about product pages. We haven't talked about category pages, customer marketing, mobile responsive. We haven't even talked about doing a marketing plan. So please follow these, look at these things when you're evaluating your website. If you have any questions about up to this point, please feel free and contact me.